Hello, this is Alex Spence, self-realised renunciate monk out of the wilderness, out of the woods, into the middle of nowhere. Here I am, welcome. So yeah, today I wanted to discuss purpose. This is following on from yesterday when I posted something about Alan Watts, about how he's sort of like what would you do if money wasn't an option. I just want to add, and I sort of wrote about this in the newsletter as well. I wanted to discuss purpose and how different it is for some people. How you can have certain people where it'd be fulfilling a purpose. Some people just don't have that inner yearning. Some people, I think it's like this is not, once again, I always say there's no good or bad or right or wrong with any of this. I think it's just different feelings of stuff. It's different textures of life. And when it comes to like certain people, I'd say the person I'm talking to now, you look at life in a really profound way. Like you have to, because of everything you're going through, because of all this inner work you're doing and everything's being confronted in you, you almost have to take things a little bit seriously sometimes. Or no, not seriously, you have to look at life at a profound level. You have to look at a profound level to try and work out sort of what lessons are being taught to you, or what's this situation, what have I got to get out of this to go on to the next phase. So you have to, no, serious was the wrong word. You just have to be really, almost, you have to analyse stuff. You have to really look at a profound level to what's going on. Because it's all about working stuff out and moving on and then going to the next hurdle, and then you know how it is when you're getting all this stuff out. I think I've touched on that in my awakening signs, all the things that we're going through. And when you go through that, you can't help but like look at things from a real deep level. And when you look at things on a deep level and how you feel and how things affect you in certain ways, you have this sort of like, you start looking at life like, what am I here for? It's almost like, what am I going through all this for? I know this is something that I started to ask myself a little bit later on, because I think there's a couple of phases of this. I think the most destructive time is when you don't have a purpose and you don't know what path you're on. Because I think for me personally, when I didn't know about sort of like the spiritual realm or anything to do with awakening, I hadn't heard the term empath or any sort of names or labels that are floating around. I wasn't associated with anything. I was just crawling in my own skin, trying to figure out, never mind what my purpose was. I was trying to figure out what was going on with me, why I was going through all this, and what was the purpose of what I was experiencing. Why was I going through this? And I think at the back of that, you also have like this marinating, burning sensation of sort of like you sort of know that you're here for a purpose, but you're trying to work all this other stuff out, so you're not in the right headspace to think about it, because you're thinking about all the other stuff. It can be like a culmination of rushing everything through you. And like thinking about your purpose can be the last thing that you need to sort of like work out, because you're working everything else out. And I think that can be the most destructive time. That was, for me personally, is when I sort of got into drugs. Addictions. I had like loads of spiraling out of control relationships with just different people, not just like spouses and stuff, but I didn't trust who I was. I didn't like who I was. And then to compound that, you've got like this thinking, this is all going on, but I'm here for something. It's like, what is that? And I ended up getting stuck in a job for sort of years and years, which was really isolated. It was almost against the grain of everything of my being. And it was sort of, I rode it out for like 10 years with very sort of like devastating consequences. But then you sort of, from my experience, from what's happened to me, there was a moment of I think I said this in other videos, but I've just sort of like let stuff go. And I was like, I got to a point where I'd almost beaten myself into submission, where I had to take sort of action on finding something out. And I think this is where people tend to get sort of like lost. It's like if you gain a little bit of clarity and you start thinking, like trying to find a purpose. Because that's what I did essentially, was when I was trying to work out things internally about why all this was happening to me, and trying to sort of like resolute what was going on within, and trying to work out these negative patterns. I think I went into with an obsessive tendency, of an obsessive drive to figure out what was going on. Like it was this burning desire to get to the bottom of my issues. And the byproduct of that was me gaining some kind of clarity, of sort of like clear-headedness, of thinking I can make the next move. At the time, I was rushing around ideas of what I could do, and I was in a really isolated job at the time. I thought, I want to work with people. So I decided to be a personal trainer and sort of like wear that role for a little bit. And I always sort of like, I had this burning desire to sort of like, to really help people. And I think that's what a lot of people do have. But I think this sort of like coming out of your shell and taking the next step and finding the courage, and especially if you are extremely introverted, and I was extremely introverted, it's almost like until your soul's ready to go on to that next phase. But I think it's all about trying to create some kind of inner strength. This would be my biggest advice when trying to find out your purpose. Trying to find out the reason why you're here. Is really working on you to the sort of the best of your ability. And I went to work on myself, almost like I unplugged from everything. I detached myself from society almost, and just went to work on an extreme mission of internal growth and trying to lay some foundations, because there was something inside of me it was screaming at me saying, you have to do this. It's almost like you have to go and try and find your purpose. And sometimes the still silent voice within, which is your instinct, I think it's when you push it to the point where it's screaming at you, saying, you need to take action now. And this is when the crumbling down phase has happened. And people and places and situations will be put in front of you to usher you through the door. And it's how long you choose to ignore these for that it starts to build up, and can really, like I've said previously, about it can really have some negative consequences. So I think it all comes down to, if you feel lost or stuck right now, you've got this, like you're up at night, trying to think about your purpose, but you are really introverted and shy, and you can't almost comprehend what's going on, or you comprehend that by making that leap. I want to sort of be that person that sort of says that you can make that leap. The old me wouldn't have been filming and broadcasting myself over for hundreds of people to see. But having that sort of like that inner strength and sort of that one bit of courage can literally be an absolute game changer. And when you're sort of like not fulfilling your purpose. This is something I went through. When you're not fulfilling your purpose, the destructive habits that come along with that are really sort of like really destructive and detrimental. But once you sort of like, when you get that courage and you sort of you make that one little leap of faith, your whole energy changes. You can sort of, when you start learning more about yourself and you sort of like, you take that leap of faith and you start learning about how your energy flows through you. And that's what this game is all about, and I'll always say that. It's all about that awareness of you. Never mind what the moon or the stars are saying. Just look at what's going on with you and how you can rectify any errors. Be very sort of like introspective to find out and get to the bottom of like why you like this. What can I do to change to make me take that leap? Because once you overcome that and you sort of like you find something that embodies you. It's the best feeling in the world. You don't sort of like, you get to a point where you lose all your desires and drives, as in sort of like negative chases, like the dopamine and sugar rushes and not chasing sort of like your sexual drive. You can channel your like that kind of all that energy into creating what you want to do now. But when you sort of like, you're not following this path, all your drives are directed in the wrong areas. And that's why you can have destructive partners, and you end up sort of like getting into that with sort of like really destructive areas of life, where life has to show you more and more about what you need to be getting rid of to move on to the next phase. And do you think at the minute, do you feel strong enough? And if not, I know it's really tough to try and find that inner strength, as well as trying to work out what is going on with me. But analyse your whole life. Go from sort of like, go top to bottom and sort of like really spring clean what's going on, to the point where you sort of like, you analyse what's the first thing you do, what's your first thought in the morning. Is it a positive one or is it a negative one? Or analyse all the relationships in your life. Which ones are serving you? Which people do you need to be around less? Because when you sort of like start working on yourself, and you really commit to finding out how you get paid back from life is just phenomenal. And take it from someone who's sort of like, I know all the destructiveness. I know the years of ignoring all the signs that life's thrown at you, ignoring all the people that I'm supposed to learn from, not realising that life is a lesson. And a lot of time can pass. And I know some people, like, when it's like when the apple's ready to fall from the tree, it's ready to fall. And there's no forcing that. I'm not trying to sort of like, this is not me sort of like trying to force anyone into finding their purpose, but I feel like if you feel like something's not right, then really sort of like do everything in your power to try and figure it out by being really introspective. How much stuff mentally you carrying around with you that you could let go of, to bring in some sort of clear-headedness to work out what your purpose is. because that clear-headedness, that's where your imagination can come out. When you get rid of the clutter that's sort of like that's in the background, all the stuff, say that's the stuff that you can't forgive, or the regrets or the guilt that you sort of carry around with you, or the not self-love, the not lovingness towards yourself, all that, if you can you can go to town and start clearing that out and just sort of like spring clean. That's when you get them clear spaces, that's when the magic happens. It's really awesome to sort of like that's when you start to, there's a real difference between sort of like your clutter and your imagination. And your imagination comes out of the moments of clearness that you get. Like I said in the awakening video, that you have that's when you have that interconnectedness. That's when your imagination comes out. And even from that, if you still can't find out what your purpose is, just find something that you are drawn to. Do it around what you're doing now. Do whatever, do the inner growth that you are doing will, the byproduct of that, your fatigue will be helped. All the emotional burdens, when you get rid of them, your sort of like your lethargicness and fatigue will be minimized, and you'll get the energy to do stuff around what you're doing now. So you can get your feet wet. Get your feet wet with different purposes. Did I want to be, I just sort of like stumbled into personal training, but I knew I wanted to help people, so I chose something that I could help people with one way or another. And now I feel like I'm going into another area of helping people by doing this. And not everyone wants to be filmed and stuff like that, but you can, there's always something that makes you tick. And there's always something, and when you find something that your passion and your love, the byproduct of that is that you will attract abundance into your life. And that's what it's all about. And it'll be sort of like, things will flow easier, things will flow towards you. When you're in your right state of mind, all the right things flow towards you. When you're in the wrong state of mind, all the wrong things flow to you. It's all one big river. Just realised this is my longest video, and I'm sort of going on here, but I want to talk about this because it's really important. Helping people like walk with purpose is my absolute passion. Well, it is now. So be warned. I'm coming for you. Because of like, I'm not saying everyone's had their downs and everyone's been through their things, but I feel like I've always I think I've said this before. I like that I've lived in extremes. I like the fact I've lived in almost the gutter, and now I'm sort of like when it comes to internalness, I've been in the gutter at the bottom of the bottle, and now I've got this verified space that I'm in now, where it's just, I'm here talking to you and giving you the message that you have got the inner strength to make that leap. And there are ways to do that. So I'm going to leave that now. I think I've said what I feel on purpose. I'm probably going to do more videos on this because I think I'm really passionate about helping people find their purpose, helping people get the clear headspace they need to succeed. Because I know within you there's a person who wants to help someone, or you want to be, it doesn't have to be this, it doesn't have to be any kind of, it can be sort of like, you can help people in all ways, every single way. There's so many cogs to humanity. It's just choosing the one that sort of is well oiled for you. So I'm going to leave that now. I just want to say thank you for listening to me for this long. I hope it's all if anything, it's hyped you up to know that the grass is greener. I just want to say thank you for your time. I'm so grateful for all the comments and likes and everything, everyone that's jumped on board the self-realised bandwagon. This is really awesome. And for the people who think that they're on their own, you're not on your own. There appears to me to be patterns that there's lots of people going through this. So you're not alone. For one thing, I'm always going to be here. I'll be doing these videos, come rain or shine, every single day. So I'm going to leave this now. I'm going to say Alex Spence, self-realised, renunciate monk, coming right at you. Just in the middle of nowhere. This is where you want your mind to be. So go find it. Okay guys, peace out. If you haven't already, subscribe to my email list, newsletter, even more content for you to stay in touch. Every week I'll send that out on subjects like this. And just keep the good vibes going, man. Okay, peace out and God bless. Thank you.